take your seats. Good evening. Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'm Amy Bell. I'm the Executive Director here at the Darien Community Association. And whether you're here in person or joining us virtually, welcome. The DCA is a place in our community for all to gather, give, and learn. And tonight, I think we will enjoy doing all of these things as we celebrate one of Darien's most beloved and accomplished volunteers, Chris Filmer. Thank you. It's our privilege to be part of a wonderful team who collaborated on this event, which includes the Darien Land Trust, Darien Parks and Rec, the Darien Nature Center, Friends of Selleck's Woods, State Representative Terry Wood, Darien First Selectman Monica McNally, and former First Selectman Jamie Stevenson. I'd also like to recognize Damian Andrew of DAF Media, which is a joint venture between the Darien Foundation and the Darien Athletic Foundation, and they're live streaming tonight's event with audio assistance from Jeff DeMayo, AV Services. So it's truly a community-wide effort and celebration. I've had the pleasure of getting to know Chris Filmer over the last 10 years as he served on the DCA Board of Directors and as he worked alongside Sig Buckmeyer, Cindy Ryan, Mike Zagro, and Barnaby Taylor to transform 4 acres of our property into the DCA Bird Sanctuary and Nature Trail. It's a beautiful space enjoyed by all ages, and in Chris's understated words, a peaceful little corner of the world to watch nature's magic unfold. Over the years, I've learned that Chris is many things, a real modern-day Renaissance man. He's an environmental steward. He's Mr. Chris to the many children he has helped to educate about conservation and wildlife. He's the professor to his fellow bird sanctuary volunteers. He's a lover of birds, bees, and bats. He's a collaborator, a gifted artist, a handyman, an athlete. Watch out on the pickleball court. I've seen it. He's a visionary. He's a leader, a very persuasive marketeer, especially armed with that charming accent. And most of all, he's a wonderful human being whom those of us at the DCA are honored to call a friend. You'll hear much more about Chris and his contributions to our town from our other speakers this evening, starting with Darien's first selectman, Monica McNally.
Hi, everyone. It is such a pleasure to be here. Chris, I am so honored to be able to read this proclamation for you. Whereas Chris H. Filmer moved to the United States from his native South Africa, I need my glasses, in 1977 to reside in Darien, Connecticut. Chris joined the RTM in 1987 and the Friends of Selleck's Woods in 1993, becoming president in 1997. I think I really do need my glasses. In 1995, he joined the Darien Land Trust Board of Trustees, and he served as president from 2011 to 2014. And whereas he has provided extraordinary and selfless service to the community, and in particular to the town's Park and Recreation Department, the Darien Community Association, and the Darien Nature Center. And whereas under Chris's leadership and guidance, nearly 50 acres of the Land Trust Dunlop Woods and the town's Selleck's Woods were transformed into an extensive network of trails for the community. Combined, they create the second largest nature preserve in Darien with 7 distinct ecosystems. And whereas, through the vision and volunteer teamwork, a nearly 4-acre bird sanctuary was revitalized at the Darien Community Association and opened for the public to enjoy with trails, children's features, native plantings, and nesting sites for birds. And whereas the town of Darien has benefited beyond measure from Chris's tireless and exemplary volunteerism for over 3 decades. The town of, now therefore I, Monica McNally, first selectman of the town of Darien, by virtue of the authority vested in me, do hereby announce and proclaim Thursday, November 17th, 2022, as Chris Filmer Day. This is in recognition of the many benefits his personal and professional qualities have provided to the town of Darien and its residents during the past 35 years. Thank you so much for everything you've done for us, Chris.
A delayed thank you, Monica. Appreciate it. That was terrific.
The mic up a little bit.
How's that better? There we go. I'm confident everyone here, the many who wish they could be here, and those watching on Channel 79, often think of all that Chris has done to make our community a much better place. I'm John O'Brien. As of an hour and a half ago, I became the former president of the Darien Land Trust, now the treasurer. And I just have a few words about Chris and how he has affected the land that we all cherish so much, the open spaces in Darien. But before I get into that, I wanted to share something I recently learned about our man, unmentioned in the proclamation. And perhaps many of you already know this, but it was news to me recently. Chris is a published author and illustrator. I forgot my prop. It's not a prop, it's a book. Famous Lives That Shaped World History. I'm about a quarter of the way through it. It's really good, really good. It's a book about historical figures geared toward young teen readers. Just incredible. It's available at the library. You guys can get it once I return it, but it's going to be out for a little while. It's very good. And perhaps you have some copies in your garage? Maybe sign some? Very nice. Just incredible, I think. Earlier this evening, the Land Trust had our annual meeting where Chris came off the board. He'll be sorely missed. Chris's 26 years on the board established him as our historian. Has anyone on the board experienced more? No, you're the historian. Recruiter extraordinaire. Everybody wants to serve alongside Chris. He's our plant and wildlife expert. No one really knows more. And chief project manager. The back of Chris's car is just full of every tool imaginable. And I don't think that'll stop. But most importantly, Chris was our advisor. Whether 101, which is so appreciated, or amongst the group, Chris is our E.F. Hutton. When C.H. H's? Herbert. When C.H. Filmer talks, people listen. Chris has left his fingerprints all over the Land Trust, but nowhere as permanently as the property he has been a part of transforming towards optimal ecological habitats. To name a few, Olson Woods, west of Holly Street, initially a developer set aside, now with beautiful trails alongside the Norotan River, where the reintroduction of alewife herring migration is being supported. Round Meadow in Tokenique, where a boardwalk allows for strolls through a tidal marsh. Chris recently organized a renovation of one of its two bridges, his car full of tools, of course. He was crucial there. Cherry Lawn, where a trail system meanders amongst the Nature Center and DLT properties. There's another bridge or two there, I think. And of course, Dunlop Woods, alongside the town's Selleck Woods. Between them, 50 acres of paradise. Thank you, Chris. BCF, before Chris Filmer, has a nice ring to it, I think. These two properties had suffered decades of neglect. Popular with motorbike enthusiasts, littered with trash and evidence of oil leakage from the Exit 13 service plaza, Chris led a group in a 19-year effort of letters to the Department of Transportation and the rest stop operator. Well, he and they persevered. The oil leakage is solved, and sound barriers now, with additional fencing, are keeping motorbikes out. Chris's establishment of Friends of Selleck's Woods ensures that eyes and efforts are dedicated to reestablishing the property that has since been declared a nature preserve and certified wild habitat. And yes, among the trails are 5 bridges. What's with the bridges? Are there bridges, Sandy, at home? Some of you may recall, speaking of Selleck and Dunlop Woods, that the preserve was once used as a filming site of a Leonardo DiCaprio, Kate Winslet movie called Revolutionary Road. I'd suggest a better story would be a documentary of the transformation of these properties, starring Chris Filmer. Does anyone know a producer who can get their arms around this? I might have to become that guy. I'll wrap up by sharing a George Bernard Shaw observation that Chris occasionally shares. There are three kinds of people: those who make things happen, those who watch things happen, and those who wonder what happened. Clearly, Chris makes things happen, and his efforts to encourage the rest of us to join him has been one of his greatest gifts. Hear, hear, Chris. Jan, this opportunity.
These are all hard acts to follow. I just wanted to say a word or two about Chris, mostly on behalf of the Darien Men's Association, where we all love Chris. I met Chris almost 50 years ago, and Chris has always been a perfect gentleman, accomplished at anything he's ever done. And he actually recently gave a copy of that wonderful book to my wife. Not only is it well written, but if you look at the designs, it's amazing. He's an artist, as is his wife, who is also an excellent artist. But anyway, I just want to read a couple of words. Frank Maturo, who's a member of our pickleball group, sent this to me yesterday and asked me if I would please read it. Frank can't join us tonight, so these are Frank Maturo's words. I met Chris for the first time playing pickleball with the Darien Men's Association. I immediately was amazed how agile and proficient he was at the game. Although I had no idea of his age, I could clearly see he was in great shape and athletic. I very quickly wanted him to be my partner when the next game was to be played. I knew he was someone that was consistent, and I could count on him as a teammate. However, I became more amazed as I got to know Chris and to talk to him. He was able to speak knowledgeably about so many things, whether it was about birds or trees or nature as a whole. In talking to him, he would quote the Bible, the Greek philosophers, and Roman emperors. So I gave him the nickname Mr. Renaissance Man. Now, when I see Chris, that is what I call him. To me, he fits perfectly. He truly is a man for all seasons. I am not at all surprised that the Darien Land Trust or any other organization he has volunteered for is choosing to honor him. Just like pickleball, you know he is consistent, someone you can count on, and a wealth of knowledge that makes not only whatever group he is associated with better, but makes you as a person better. I regret I cannot be there in person to celebrate, but I am very grateful I can call Renaissance Man my friend, signed Frank Maturo. Thank you all.
What a wonderful evening this is, and I can't think of anything better to be doing tonight than to be celebrating Chris Filmer. I think I've known Chris for about the 3 decades that we've lived here in Darien in one way or another, and there's so many things. Every day should be Chris Filmer Day, by the way, every day. And it is for all of us that enjoy these beautiful spaces that have been of Chris's hard work and imagination. So thank you for that lifelong gift, Chris. But 3 things really come to mind. how often we've stood here at this podium at the DCA celebrating volunteerism. And there is no one who embodies volunteerism more in my mind than Chris Filmer in his humble, quiet way. He is such a role model for all of us in this community and beyond about what volunteerism really means. And the second thing that comes to mind for me is open space. How important open space has become in our community. You really don't realize it until you go outside of Darien about how densely developed we really are, more so every day, and those things are very, very exciting. But in order to balance that, we need to be able to preserve those beautiful places, those small places that we can, so everybody can continue to enjoy our open space, particularly our children. And finally, in my mind, there is no greater role model for kindness than Chris Filmer. And I get a little choked up about that because we all know we live in a pretty polarized society right now. But thinking about Chris and his humility and humanity and the respect that he shows each and every person that he encounters is something that I treasure and really is a role model for all of us. So Chris, thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here to celebrate with you.
Thank you all. I'm Terry Wood, State Representative for Norwalk and Darien. But more importantly, I'm a longtime dear friend of Chris, and I adore Sandy and Chris and everything they bring to our community. I met Chris, I think the first time we met was on the Land Trust Board, as I recall. We were both on, I think we maybe came in the same year. But I too have a couple of things that I'd like to highlight about Chris and then present him with a General Assembly citation. It's as much as everything he's done has been phenomenal in our community, it's who he is inside that is so powerful and what we gravitate toward and what Jamie referenced. He has uncompromising integrity. I mean, it's so deep, it's in your DNA. I want to know your mom and dad because they need to replicate whatever they did. And he's a problem solver. He thrives on solving problems, and he makes it fun. And all the things we did in the Land Trust, there was always joy and spontaneity and appreciation for all the good in our lives. He also looks for the good in others, and that's such a powerful tool that we all need to remember to do, is look for the good in others and the power of positivity. And I'm so appreciative of knowing you and everything you've done in our community, and this is a testament. I mean, right away, the RSVPs came flying in, and we love you here, and you are loved. So this is a General Assembly citation. It's something, a little wall art. You could maybe even put your art on it, make it a little less bureaucratic, but it's still nice. So it says, Chris Filmer, in recognition of your dedication to the preservation of open space and our environment over multiple decades, your 35 years of commitment to the protection of Selleck's Woods, Dunlop Lake, and 25 years of Darien Land Trust stewardship are appreciated by all in the community. The joy you've inspired will live on forever, and we are so grateful. Thank you, Chris.
Hi all, Pamela Gary, Director of Parks and Recreation. Chris. I met Chris when I first got hired here in 2015, And he was one of the very first person I had met outside the department. And we took a long walk through Selk's Woods. He told me the history behind everything. And I thought to myself, if this man is who represents Darien, I'm in the right place. Because he was so warm, so eager to please and eager to help. And I thought, how could Parks and Rec not have this man? How did they get so lucky to have you guide us and help us every day in those woods? And he welcomed me with open arms. And we've been working together now 7 years. And maybe 2 years ago, I started to plant seeds because too often I think we celebrate people when they're gone. And maybe 2 years ago, I remember sitting with Jamie and saying, we need to celebrate him now and get to encourage and keep that volunteerism going and know he's so loved. So that happened. 2 years of really planting seeds and talking to people and saying, how can we make this happen? And of course, I was trying to stay away from Chris for the last month because we so much wanted to celebrate him. And I do want to ask Monica if we get a day off on the Chris Filmer's Day. I think a day off would be honored. So what we did do is, as we met as a small group in September, and all started to talk about this, and everybody, you know who that small group is, because I'd hate to forget a name, but we wanted to do something above and beyond even this. And so one of the things, it has been a work in progress, and it still is a work in progress, but we had a sign made, a directional sign of Filmer's Way to Selleck's and then upwards. And there's nothing more special in Selleck's Woods than the I Spy Corner. So it's now Filmer's I Spy Corner. And that will be forever known as your little corner there. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Pam. That's beautiful. On behalf of all the event organizers, I'd like to announce another tribute to Chris, and that is the formation of the Chris Filmer Scholarship. This need-based scholarship will be administered by the DCA as part of our named scholarship program and awarded to a Darien High School student applicant who best exemplifies Chris's commitment to community and to the environment. And so in honor of Chris and his legacy, we hope you'll consider contributing to this scholarship, and we'll have more information at the reception on how you can support it. So we will do our best to find the most worthy candidate who will reflect all that we love about Chris. So. And now I think it's time you heard from the man of the hour. So I'm going to ask Chris to come up and share his thoughts. And after he speaks, you'll get to enjoy a short video thanks to the work of Cassie Scholl and Pam Geary from Darien Parks and Rec. Come on up.
Well, I prepared a little something that lasts about 2 minutes, and I was thinking that I would merely trot it off and we'd all go and have a nice drink and I don't know how many people can say they were blown away, but I was absolutely knocked out. I have something in my pocket which I was going to say. It seems sort of irrelevant at this point. I mean, this is something far beyond anything I could have possibly dreamt up. So I'm going to have to edit it and alter it as I go. But when I thought, what could I possibly contribute, I thought I might just share a little of kind of rather selfishly my philosophy in what I do. And Elizabeth mentioned it in an earlier meeting. But it's such an honor, such a completely unexpected one, a wonderful surprise. Please know how deeply thankful and touched I am. When we came to America, I had my 40th birthday on the plane from Cape Town to JFK. And since then, when Sandy and the kids joined us, I figure out we've spent half our life in Darien. Sandy, of course, was much younger than I was, so you can forget the 40 part. And we've been married for 50 years this year. So I've been. I'm skipping things as I go, but I'll go to another point, which was that I've been doing this for 27 years, and the Land Trust for 25. I started in 97, really, and some people, I don't know if Kara's here, might want to add that she's talking about sometimes people get confused with the 18 part. It's not been a solitary journey. Almost every action I ever took, I had help from others. I did not do it alone. In those years, they've been filled with some very happy days. People fortunate enough to find happiness do it in different ways. I found that it helps to do when you do 3 things and they are aligned. They are, if you're lucky, finding someone to love, something worthwhile to do, and something to look forward to. Taken separately, some people to love. I have a large family, and there are 2 of them right here next to me. My wife, Sandy. Tony, why don't you just get up so they can see? And the second one, who is my son, Chris. He says the real Chris Fulmer, who has always been a person that I've been very proud of, and I'm very glad you've railed up to Darien to do this from the city, and we're very glad you'll join us and hope we'll see you in the bar. I might say that both of them have supported me, especially Sandy, has offered many points of environmental protection that we can do. And over the years, he's made some other suggestions as well, which maybe had nothing to do with in the environment. I think I must say that one of my greatest joys in working was with young children. They're closer to the ground, and they have an innate sense of wonder, and they're often able to see marvels that we don't see. Because as Aristotle said, in all things of nature, there's something of the marvelous. And they see those marvels before we do. And I admire the wonderful Darien Nature Center that makes small people into nature lovers, and where it always seems to have the nicest people in town staffing it. What an opportunity and privilege it has been to take advantage of open space. We have on our doorstep acres and acres of woodlands, rivers, meadows, and wetlands. And much of it is under Parks and Rec with Pam Gary, and the Darien Land Trust with Beth Harmon, John O'Brien, and now Elizabeth Mathis. And at last, but not least, the DCA Bird Sanctuary and Nature Trail with Amy Bell, who's one of my favorite managers in the world. So for the third one, something to look forward to, there are so many opportunities, small and big, to look forward to. And all you have to do with those opportunities is to take them. A vacation, a special restaurant, or helping somebody less fortunate than you, but always have something to look forward to. My alma mater is the Land Trust, my gems, the Friends of Selix Woods and the DCA Bird Sanctuary. I'm leaving the board, but I will be staying on with Selix and the Bird Sanctuary as long as they will have me. But right now, what I'm looking forward to is having a drink with all my friends in this room. Also, to all those people that I promised to buy a beer. This is it, guys. So bless you all. Thank you for making it special. And as I say sometimes to the kids, I love you guys.
you to Beth Harmon, the executive director at the Darien Land Trust, who attended to every possible detail in putting together the program tonight. So thank you, Beth. And I also think there's probably a rule about public speaking that you never want to be the last one speaking before the bar opens. So on that note, I'd like to invite all of you to enjoy the reception. We'll move into the historic side of the DCA house and further celebrate our friend Chris. Thank you very much for coming.